Cece. There, girl. There we go. Kitty. Yes, there is in fact a CC. She booped me with her nose. Now, go ahead, CC. You can relax here. My baby. Already starting to stream out strong. We got ourselves a cat. Okay, and with that countdown done and over with, so hello everyone, it is I, Realm Wars. I'm a PNG tuber who predominantly does artwork, and welcome to day 12 of the lore-a-thon. So yesterday, I drew your therapist. His name is Hiyashi. Excuse me, just a little bit stuff backed up in my throat there. There we go. So we worked on the Ice Dragon Sage Hiyashi, went through a bit of his backstory, talked about a lot of his character, and quite frankly was rather intrigued that a good number of you people were pretty invested in how compassionate that the guy is, especially for other people. We talked about how good he's able to read people emotionally. We talked about how one of his biggest takeaway lessons as he was going through his normal life before eventually becoming a sage was, you know, just rather than changing yourself to be something different, change yourself to become something better. I feel like that's something that a lot of us could probably take away, or something we could all probably attach to our lives, you know, rather than just become something that other people want us to be. Instead, look at what makes us so great and make those great things better. So, I do want to talk a little bit about the schedule here, because I know I have Mao's reference sheets scheduled for tomorrow, but depending whether or not I have things ready for that day, I may in fact just swap Wednesday's ordeal with Mao's reference sheet, just to give me more time to get that prepped up for the stream. So do keep a lookout for that kind of change going on. So there may be a chance where I'm going to end up changing the landscape images to Tuesday, and then Mao's reference sheet to Wednesday. But other than that, everything else is going to be staying the same. Thursday and Friday are still going to be the Twitch exclusive streams. So again, if you want to be there for those, you got to be here for these. They're not going to be on YouTube. And if you end up missing them, oops. But yeah, just something to keep an eye out for, because I want to make sure I do have things ready for when I want to cover Mao. So there's a chance I may have to make a slight change. So just something to keep in mind. But for now, today is Reference Sheet Touch-Up Day, or as I've been referring to it as the Lightning Round. So I've done this before, and how it effectively works is that I'm going to be going through touching up some reference sheets that I have not finished yet for some characters. And during those times, I'm going to essentially be giving people a brief recap on the things that were covered on them from past streams when I talked about them. You know, maybe perhaps some of the people who ended up not watching the streams involving those characters, so I can give them a nice little idea of who they were, you know, when they weren't able to appear there for, like, the whole discussion of that character in question. There's also the factoid that in the background, I will be having a timer running where every 30 minutes, I will be changing the reference sheet that I work on. Just make sure everybody that I need to give touch-up on has something done. Like, some of these we may not end up finishing today. The only one that I think may end up getting remotely finished is probably page 1 of Riona's reference sheet. I was hoping to get a page 2 started, but I had a couple of other things taking up. I had a couple of other things that ended up taking up my time to be able to get more work on that done off stream. Because yeah, when I'm not streaming, I'm still working on these things. Like it's almost like I don't stop. Maybe I should. Don't worry, but don't worry. My hand is fine. My hands have been very fine throughout all this, just in case any of you were wondering. Like, I haven't been feeling anything weird. I haven't been feeling anything off. Although I guess part of that also helps with the fact that I use a mouse. Because my tablet... Okay, my tablet works. It's just the stabilizers I have for Paint Tool SCI, they don't. And when I tried using a tablet to see if I could get, like, more smooth drawing going on, it did not help in the slightest. So that's why I ended up just sticking with the mouse, which I know frustrated Jordan a little bit because he was the one who got me the tablet, but, you know, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that it ended up not going the way that we planned. It's all Paint Tool SCI's fault, you know? The stabilizers just don't want to work for whatever reason. But, of course, the other thing that ended up taking up my time as well was that, you know, I finally got my Switch to get back online, so I decided, you know what, so I don't miss the event, I ended up going to the Raichu outbreaks, and I did in fact find 4 chocolate rats. Technically I found a 5th one, but I was shiny hunting that one for another friend of mine, and they were very happy to finally get it. So, 5 chocolate rats that I found. I just let one person have it. I kept the other 4, because I was hunting for those all on my own. I still think it's really funny that of all the Raichus that I got from that outbreak, I managed to catch one where every single IV was decent. Figured I'd get a special title on that one, but nah. That would have been too funny. Game Freak can't do that. But anywho, enough of my chocolate rat collection. I believe it is time to move on to the very first of the reference sheets in these lightning rounds. And we're going to be covering Shadow Kamiko first. And that's mainly because, you know, again, I've done the lightning rounds before, and the 4 characters that we had during that were Chrome, Amara, Iwakenja, and Riona. And I figured, you know what, considering we just recently introduced this guy during the debut stream, I think giving the new guy the first spotlight would probably be something that would work well. Because, you know, gives us someone new to talk about, gives us someone new to recap, and yeah. Just figured it'd be fair. And considering we've been making him the punching bag throughout all these streams, I think it's one thing he'll certainly be able to appreciate. But for now, let me just get his playlist up. That's also another nice benefit to, these lightning rounds. You guys get to hear different music going on, rather than just, you know, the same playlist going on over and over again. May not be much, but it's something. And now, we go to the stream layout. Now, I don't really think there's too much that I really need to be focusing on here in terms of putting together a reference sheet. I think I'll end up, like, doing things like maybe having a pose of him, like, not having his helmet on, similar to how I have Kamiko. Because, no, I haven't made him ugly enough. And then, you know, maybe just some shots of his gloves and how those work. And again, I can just rip the line art from Kamiko and just put it on here. Although I do need to tweak it up a bit, because Shadow Kamiko don't have normal human hands. Alright, and let's start that timer. Okay, there we go. 30 seconds on the clock. So, Shadow Kamiko, General of the Shadow Army. He's a rat bastard. He is an absolute bastard of a man. So, this man does not keep his prejudices at all hidden. Like, if you are not of the Shadow Realm, 90% of the time, he probably hates you. He hates that you exist and would love nothing more than to watch you suffer. Well, hold on, that's way too big of a circle. Actually, you know what? I think I have a simpler solution. I'll just shrink the circle down. I want to show he's ugly, but not that well. So, I will say, despite me calling him Shadow Kamiko the whole time, throughout the story, he's not ever going to be referred to as such. He's actually going to always be constantly referred to as the Shadow General. And, I figured because, and it's mainly just because of that, I mainly just came up with the idea of Shadow Kamiko just because, you know, I'd like to give at least some kind of a name to him. And plus, you know, he already wears Kamiko's getup. And he already has, like, so many, like, different oppositions and whatnot to Kamiko. It's just that the thing, so, to tell you guys a little bit about, because, like, to give you a little bit of a brief summary of the Diabolical, the Menace, the man with no ass himself. Indeed, he does, in fact, have no ass. And I did that specifically as a joke, because I thought it'd be funny. It's like, oh, what's that? You're expecting fan service from someone like this? Nah, you get anti-fan service. So, the Shadow Realm effectively is like, say, a mirror world compared to ours, and that even includes the inhabitants of those, of the people within the Shadow Realm. So, you know that you know that shadow of yours that follows you throughout your life? You know, you'll look behind you and you're like, oh, look, I have a shadow. Well, what if I told you that that thing actually exists, but in another plane, that being the Shadow Realm. And everything that shadow is that's following you is the exact opposite of what you are. And that's mostly where the idea came from. Like, I just thought the idea of just people's shadows that follow them being a thing that exists in another reality just would be kinda nutty. And then it just effectively turned into, yeah, it's effectively a mirror world of... It's effectively a mirror world where whatever you are, this thing is the opposite. And because Kamiko is a very kind and compassionate individual, and is very empathetic towards people, Shadow Kamiko is the exact opposite. He's cruel, he's ruthless, he hates you. He probably hasn't even met you and he already hates you. It's also the reason why, unlike Kamiko, who's capable of using multiple different elements, Shadow Kamiko is only able to use one, and that's fire. But that's fine, because fire's the only one that he needs. Or at least the one that he says that he only needs. Okay, so Cece, I hate to do this to you. I know you really love my lap. I like having you on my lap too, but my neck is kind of killing me with the way I have to look at this, so I'm gonna need you to get off my lap for a bit. Thank you. You can still hang around though, Cece. Your company is always welcome. Precious kid. Now she's standing in front of my screen and saying,
No, you will pay attention to me and me alone.
Aw, Cece, you're such a sweetheart. You're such a baby. But you're my baby. You're my baby and I love you. If you guys really want a reason to hate Shadow Kamiko, he probably would also hate CC. So you know he's evil. Probably gonna have to stretch it down just a tad bit. Right, there we go. That's perfect. So yeah, if you really want to hate Shadow Kamiko, so yeah, our adorable little kitty that shows up here every now and then, yeah, he probably wouldn't like them. So, an excuse for some of you to beat him up. Which is perfectly fine, because he has a very punchable face, and that was done intentionally. I wanted to make it I wanted to make him the kind of guy that's satisfying to watch get decked in the schnage. And I will say this too, Jen, since I know you're in the chat, do not worry. He is not a vampire, despite him having the fangs and the pointed ears. He is not a vampire. He's just very ugly. And he has triangle eyes. And see, like, so, like, part of the idea behind, like, giving him like, some of these otherworldly features on him did, in fact, come from just this random thought that popped into my head, where I'm like, yo, I wonder what Kamiko would be like if he were to be thrown into an AI generator. And then the more I started looking at Shadow Kamiko and having that thought run into my head, I'm just like, wait a minute, hold on, this could be really funny. And so, that's how he ended up with this weirdo, with this freak in nature. So I will also say, in terms of how his facial structure is, I did base quite a bit of it on a character known as Hanya from Rurouni Kenshin. Now, Hanya was a ninja who was a part of the Oniwabon group. And his speciality was being a master of disguise. Now, the way that he ended up being able to initiate that kind of role for himself, to take up that mantle of being a master of disguise, was he actually had alterations done to his face. For instance, he crushed his cheekbones in. He burned his lips off. He did shit with his eyelids. He removed his nose. Like, he also, and hell, he even cut off his own ears. Now, Shadow Kamiko, of course, can't do that, but the reason why he did all those changes to himself is because he believed that if he were to remove all of those features from him, then he would be able to wear anyone's face over his, and it would be a perfect match every time, because it's not being it's not being taken over by other obscenities, like, oh, this mask that he's wearing is kind of weird because the nose doesn't fit his, or this one doesn't fit because the ears on it don't fit his. So he ended up removing all those features so he wouldn't have to run into that problem. And yeah, his face is pretty messed up as a result. In fact, once I get the head shape on this. God, this fucking Nosferatu looking ass. It's like, I know I said he's not a vampire, but it's like, man, the more I see him without the helmet, it's like, aw, Nosferatu. But, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get a picture of Hanya, at least from the manga. Because in the original anime, we never did get to see his face in full, but at least the original anime, the new one we do. But in the manga, we actually do get to see it, and it's rather gruesome in all of its details. In fact, I actually just found it. So yeah, that's Hanya without his mask. That's essentially what I ended up taking a lot of what I wanted for Shadow Kamiko's facial structure to be. But yeah, with a few exceptions. He did in fact keep his nose and ears. Ah yes, Quake music. Oh my god, honestly, I made the jokes about him being a Nosferatu looking ass, but I feel like the kind of hair I'm about to give him is not going to help in that matter. Kamiko may not have a widow's peak, but this guy sure does. Yeah, this fucking Nosferatu looking ass. Just want to get a... Oh my god. It's just looking worse. It's just looking worse and worse and worse. Ladies and gentlemen, I have made a very ugly man. Yay, I can make Vegeta jokes at his expense now. Yep, I mean, his Widow's Peak is nowhere near as crazy as Vegeta's. Yeah, because I figure, you know, since I had Kamiko without his helmet on, you know, Shadow Kamiko is gonna have one without his. And it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. The worst part is me having to color this. And they give it the giving it the proper line art as well as coloring it. 'Cause dear lord. Now, other differences between him and Kamiko, you know, aside from, you know, this, is also the fact that the dude, instead of just simply having human-like fingers, he has claws. He will scratch. He will scratch, he will tear at you. You know, I think I'm probably going to end up, oh, did I not? Yeah, there we go. I think I'm probably going to, if I end up finishing this face a little bit, I might actually go up and touch up some of the other ones just to make them, like, look even more ugly. Because I don't think they're ugly enough. Because that is the one thing that I want to sell on this guy. He is ugg-o. But yeah, so his claws there, yeah, they're not just for show. They can in fact do slashing. In fact, he uses those quite a lot on people. He really likes to cause bleeding. Now, I also mentioned during the initial stream itself, as well as also the debut stream, that there were actually a couple of character voices that I actually had headcanon for this guy if he were to ever be given a voice. So if you want to try to picture this guy with any kind of voice, the first idea that I had in mind was Steve Blum's performance as the Green Goblin. If you watch The Spectacular Spider-Man, Steve Blum voiced Green Goblin in that, and oh my god, he does such a good Goblin. He's such an amazing Green Goblin. I hate to imagine what that voice does to his throat though. Like, holy crap. Like, not only like the amount of high pitchness that the amount of like high pitch that his voice ends up having to go to, but also just the fact that he has to add the rasp in there too. It's like, oh my god, I cannot imagine what he has to go through in that recording booth. The second headcanon voice I had in mind was Kyle McCarthy, and specifically his voice for Red Sun from Lego Monkey Kid, because, you know, they're both unhinged pyromaniacs in their own regards. The only real difference is that Red Sun, rather than just being racist, is just classist. He calls everyone beneath him peasants. But other than that, it's just like, I mean, McCarthy, you're just doing the same role. Just, you know, on a more sadistic level. Hold on, I'm clicking on a bunch of wrong things. I was checking to see what music that was playing, but then it's like, oh, track's already over. Never mind. Guess we'll find out later. But essentially, aside from just being able to slash and claw at people, he is a master of fire magic, and generally speaking, anything you can imagine someone doing with fire, Shadow Kamiko is able to do it. He can breathe fire, he can shoot it from his hands, he can shoot it from his feet, he can engulf himself in these flames, and essentially charge at people with, like, a fiery tackle. He can make walls of fire. He can, he can, again, anything you can imagine someone doing with fire, like, anything you've seen maybe firebenders doing in Avatar: The Last Airbender, this man can absolutely do it. And on top of that... Oh! Hey, Danica! Welcome! Thank you for the raid of 10. Let me get you your shout out. So, everyone coming from Danica Streams, hello everyone! It is I, Relmors, PNG Tuber, predominantly does artwork. Welcome to day 12 of the lore-a-thon. I am doing a lightning round involving characters that I have not completed the reference sheets for yet. Greetings from the Sanctuary. This has been a month-long event that I've been holding to get people interested in the original manga story that I've been trying to write, The Rise to Superior. Today, we're doing a lightning round of characters whose reference sheets I have not finished yet, so if there are characters that you have not been following throughout the lore-a-thon that you wouldn't mind getting some quick recaps on, this is the perfect stream for me to do that, because right now I am covering Shadow Kamiko, who is an antagonist of the series and is a shadow version of the blue man that you see here. You can tell he's opposite because he's ugly and racist. And Kamiko is not. He is not either of those things. But if you like to stay tuned for more of the lore-a-thon, the schedule is actually on the left of the screen, and you are free to drop a follow so you can keep yourself up the schedule on the lore-a-thons that I end up doing. If you want to see any of the VODs, because I have been uploading these, you can type !YouTube in the chat. It will bring up my YouTube, in which you can go to, see the videos there. I will say, if you do plan on binging through them, it's going to be quite the binge, because some of these streams go pretty long, as I asked for a lot of time off this month for this event exclusively. We also do have some follower goals going on at the moment as well. In fact, once we get to 200 followers, I am going to be holding an art raffle, where the winner of that raffle will be getting a free art piece of Kamiko, the blue guy you see here, fighting any character that you want. And for the record, that does not have to be limited to any of my OCs. They can be anyone that you want. They could be, it's like, oh, I want to see Kamiko fight Galactonite from Kirby. Sure, I'll do that. I want to see Kamiko fight Senator Armstrong. You can do that. Maybe if you want to, hey, who knows? Some of you coming from Danica Stream, maybe you want to see them cry or something. You could be like, oh, I want to see Kamiko fight Chai from Hi-Fi Rush. You can do that. Oh, and here comes an ad break. I will see you guys in a minute and 30. But yeah, again, Danica, thank you so much for that raid. I definitely do appreciate it. Yeah, I hope you guys had fun over on their stream. Let's see how much of this I can have done before the ad break comes to an end. We do have a minute left on it, so I will have you guys back momentarily. Probably not going to end up getting all this done by the time you guys end up getting back. There's still quite a bit of line work to do on here. Well, we might get close to being finished by the time I have you guys back. Oh, we're about to approach 30 seconds left on the clock. For those of you who probably didn't get stuck in the ads and are probably still watching this, if you want to watch these streams ad-free, be sure to drop a subscription. At least tier 1 is enough to work. Aside from watching these things ad-free, you will be able to get access to exclusive tier 1 emotes. You'll be able to get point multiplier. You'll be able to get channel point multipliers, so you can do more channel redeems. And also, another way to especially help with that is you can also give subs to people if you want to. But only if you want to. Welcome back from the ad break, everybody. But yeah, so as I was saying, some of you were probably getting cut off when I was talking about the follower goals. So yeah, like, you could even, if you wanted to, you could make Danica super upset and be like, I want to see Kamiko fight Chai from Hi-Fi Rush. 100%, I would do that. It's like, hey, if it's your reward, you won the raffle, you get to choose Kamiko's opponent. But yeah, so, Danica, if you're still here, so, how was the stream? Did you guys have fun? Did you guys enjoy yourselves? But if you do have to raid and run, that's totally understandable. Actually, I need to take a look at something, at least in, I need to take a look at something in my server. Okay, yeah, I figured, okay, I was right. I did, in fact, have you on my server. Hold on, I never gave you the collab tag? Hold on, I need to fix that. There we go. So yeah, Danica, if there is a, so yeah, I understand if you have to raid and run, that's perfectly understandable. You get whatever rest that you need to, but if you ever get the urge to want to just jump into a call and just join the stream itself, by all means, you have the collab tag now, and you can, yeah, you just come and go whenever you want, but by all means, make sure you take care of yourself first. After all, we're just working on an ugly guy here. And I swear to Christ, if he becomes a Tumblr sexy man, I'm gonna lose faith in humanity. Because how do you make someone who is supposed to be this purposefully hateable into a Tumblr sexy man? I will never understand. Like, we're talking about a guy who will have no remorse of actually killing a woman and child. In fact, he actually does so. He actually does, in fact, do that right in front of a bunch of other people. Because he's just that much of a bastard. Trust me, wrong people find a way. I wish they didn't. It's like, listen, sometimes things such as science should be a case of, yes, we can do it, but should we? And I don't think enough people ask themselves, should we? Looking at you, Onceler. Yeah, lol indeed. But I will say, in terms of other character dynamics, another character that we're going to be ending up doing some reference sheet touch-up on a bit later is going to be Amara, who, let's just say Shadow Kamiko really can't stand her because, as a fire user, he's a big disadvantage against Giant Dragon who throws rocks. And Amara loves to bully this man because she always has type advantage. And, you know, the advantage of being a Giant Dragon. Yeah, we'll be getting to her momentarily. In fact, she's actually going to be the third one that we end up going over. Before, she was actually the first one that we did. But, yeah. Instead, now we start with her favorite punching bag, Shadow Kamiko. And also, for those of you who are coming from Danica's stream, I will also like to reiterate that I mentioned earlier here, but since some of you are probably new here, I ought to just make a mention to it now. Despite how he looks, he is not a vampire. He is not of the Dracula kind of people. He's just very ugly. Looks like we're about to reach 5 minutes left on the timer. So, the way that I've been making these reference sheet touch-up streams work is, effectively, they're essentially lightning rounds. And the way that I've described these things is that every 30 minutes, I'm going to be changing to another character whose reference sheet is not finished yet, and do a bit of touch-up on that in order to get more progress done on them. And then during that time is where I will be giving you guys recaps on who these characters are, you know, in case you ended up missing those sessions of the lore-a-thon. But, you know, again, if you want to catch up on them, you can type !YouTube, and you can get to my YouTube channel where all those VODs are uploaded. Also, for the record, if any of you haven't done so yet, and you feel like you want to, you can also type !Discord into the chat, and it will bring up a Discord invite in which you can join my exclusive Discord group. You will have to wait quite a bit for some verification stuff on the other hand, if you do end up joining, but trust me, I will try to get to that as fast as I feasibly can, or a mod can get to that as fast as they feasibly can. You know, it's all simply just to the fact that, you know, we want to make sure that we keep the bad people out. That being said, if you're not 18 or older, I will not allow you to to enter the server. If I do, in fact, find out that you are under 18 and you join my server, you will be kicked from it. Because my content, especially some of the things I talk about, especially with one of the characters I talk about later on, not for kids, not friendly, not fun. Stuff that kids should not be hearing about. So, if I end up finding, if you are under 18 and you end up in that, server, boot. It's nothing personal. It's just that the kind of stuff that this series goes over, it's not for kids. I am just looking at this guy here. It's like this Nosferatu looking ass.
Welcome to the Gulag. If you survive.
Oh, Fireball, thank you for following. I believe now that sets us to... Oh my god! Guys, I have 169 followers! Let's fucking go! Hell yeah! Okay, you know what? No more following. No more people following. This is it. This is perfect. We're at the perfect number. Nobody fixed this. Nobody fixed this. We're at the best number. Yeah! Firebolt is follower 169, baby! Chat, you are permitted to clip this moment. It is a moment of history that I shall remember forever until someone ruins the follower account. But that does put us at 31 closer to the, goal, actually. So, 31 more followers, and there will be an art raffle being held, and one of you guys will have a chance to get free art. Isn't that something you guys want? You want free art? From me? I make good enough art, right? I hope I do. I mean, I'm the one illustrating and writing my series. I'd hope that my art is decent enough. Then again, if the author one has taught us anything, you don't need to be a good artist to be a good comic writer. You just need to be a good writer. And then Yusuke Murata comes along and is like, hey, this shit's pretty good. Can I make it look prettier? And then, yeah, he makes it even prettier. And then he's like, let me do this again, and then made Mob Psycho. Which was also super good. So you know what? Anyone who tries to tell you that you need to have good art to to make a good comic, you can tell them to stuff it in their hole. Cause they are the dumb. It just keeps getting worse, guys. It just keeps getting worse. Oh my god. I think this is my cursed character. This is my most cursed looking character. Just Shadow Kamiko without his helmet is just absolutely cursed. It's like, man, I don't know about you. I don't even know if I want to go back to working on this reference sheet if I have to keep looking at this the whole time. Why did I make him this way? Like, I'm sure even he's looking at me just going like, Father, why did you make me this way? And like, because it's funny. But now it's a joke at my expense, because now I have to look at it. Almost makes me wonder how people can just casually make cursed art and just be like, yep, I'm proud of this. So yeah, this Nosferatu looking at. Oh, thank you. The timer saved us. We can stop looking at this now. Alright, so that is 30 minutes on the timer. We no longer have to look at this weird looking man. Alright, we're done. He's Let's go to the next character. You know what? Perfect time for the music to end. We got the perfect ending on that soundtrack. We got the perfect on the timer. We're just doing great. Alright, so Let's see. Now, let me get Chrome's sheet up. So, hello, Justin Puffball. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to day 12 of the lore-a-thon. We're moving from a cursed-looking character to one that's, well, it's definitely going to be a tone shift. And the reason I say it's going to be kind of a tone shift is because Chrome here is easily one of my more depressing characters, really. I did get a little bit of a head start on this during the initial countdown of before the stream even started, just because, well, there's going to be a lot that I'm going to be doing here, and plus, it's a Durgan. A very big Durgan. But essentially, hold on, how? Okay, I was just saying, the music chat's just really quiet. Okay, so for Chrome's story is that his whole entire character arc surrounds a lot of him having self-doubt. And because the thing about him is that he's a very talented, smart, and even and at times he can actually be a rather strong combatant. Like he's very good at some of the things that he does. The problem, unfortunately, is just that he feels, not only does he feel he pales in comparison to every other dragon that is currently fighting the war between dragons and demons. He also is constantly told by those same people that, yeah, you do kind of suck. Like you're kind of a scaredy cat majority of the time, and they end up just constantly reinforcing a lot of the negative thoughts that he has on himself, and it ultimately is what ends up making Chrome feel like he's not good enough. So a big part of the journey that he ends up having to go through is, well, learning how to respect and love himself, like learning how to acknowledge that what he does is great, and even if it pales in comparison to others, who cares? Like, you're great in your own way. You don't have to be great like someone else, even if other people say that you need to be. You know, something I feel a good number of us tend to struggle with on an emotional level. Oh, hold on. Let me get the timer started. There we go. It's just like, man, an hour has passed. How am I still working on Chrome? Oh, right, that's why I didn't start the timer. And while, yes, he certainly does have some resemblances to a certain purple Durgan that we all know and love, trust me, folks, that is intentional. Because I love Spyro. Spyro is my boy, and I want to have a character that's able to show my love and appreciation for the guy by essentially making probably one of my more deeper characters in the story. And also, just like the purple dragon himself, the two magic elements that he specializes in are fire and ice. Now, I know that Spyro is able to use more than that as well, like, especially just some of the other games. Like, he's been able to use things like lightning. And if we're talking about The Legend of Spyro, he was able to do earth stuff. He did Dragon Shout before Scrim took that from him and made that into a meme. It's like, yeah, screw you, Todd Howard. Spyro did it first. He also was able to use bubble breath and Enter the Dragonfly, but I'm not giving that to Chrome because I refuse to acknowledge Enter the Dragonfly. That game does not exist. It never happened. But he is very skilled at what he does. In fact, to also show just his intelligence, for Chrome, while his primary element certainly was fire, the way that he was able to understand and utilize ice magic was that, well, he compared it to essentially reading a book backwards. Whatever you would do to, to master one element, if you wanted to master its opposite, you do the opposite of what it would take to use that element. And lo and behold, that's how he ended up being able to utilize both fire and ice. Ooh. Yes, looking very good there, Chrome. Looking very good there. So I did already have, say, page 1 of this guy completed, and it was just some of the typical stuff you see on your other reference sheets, like you were seeing with Shadow Kamiko, just different kind of views. Have a new title. Someone dubbed me as Danger Floof in PSO 2. Okay. That's quite the title. But, yeah, like, it has, like, just some of, like, Chrome at multiple different viewpoints. It has, like, some of his different kind of expressions. This page, I wanted to show specifically some of the things that he can do with the elemental magic that he's able to use. Like, for instance, of course, he can breathe fire. He's going to be lighting his wings on fire for this. This maneuver here, I stole directly from The Legend of Spyro, where he does a move called the Comet Dash, where he surrounds himself in flames and then just propels himself forward. Don't worry, he is fine, though, because he does have dragon scales. The flames will not hurt him that badly. In fact, they don't really hurt him at all. Yeah, it's not Flare Blitz. Which is how you can especially tell that Charizard is a fake Durgan, because he gets hurt by his own flames. If he were a real Durgan, his scales would be much tougher. In fact, Stealth Rock shouldn't even hurt him that much. Like, when they hit his scales, they should just go blink. People underestimate how strong dragon scales actually are. They are very strong. They are very dense, very durable. So other aspects about Chrome as well. So I know this is an absolute pipe dream. It's never gonna happen. However, it is something that I still like to imagine for Chrome's headcanon voice, and that being, of course, that being Gary Oldman. For those of you who don't know who that man is, so if you see, he's acted in a lot of different things. He's been funny enough, there actually was a Jesus film that he was a part of where he actually played Pontius Pilate. So he was in that. Gary Oldman was also in. If you've seen the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, he was Commissioner Gordon. You may also know him in Kung Fu Panda 2. He was Lord Shen. In Quest for Camelot, he was Rupert. And then, specifically for the biggest inspiration to Chrome's character, he was Ignitus in the Legend of Spyro trilogy. In fact, that's actually where I first got introduced to Gary Oldman. Because he was in fact the Spyro. He was in the Spyros. He was a big fire dragon named Ignitus, and he was like Spyro's father figure. Where I took a lot of Ignitus's traits and put them into this guy. So we have a dragon who looks very much like Spyro, who has a lot of the traits of Spyro's adopted father figure, being Ignitus. It's funny how those things work out like that, don't they? But yeah, if Chrome were to have a voice, it would be somewhere along the lines of Gary Oldman's performance as Ignitus. Which I also think is rather funny because if I believe what I'm saying is correct, I think Gary Oldman's actually stated before that, like, in terms of acting, voice acting has actually been something that he believes he struggles with, just because, he just has an easier time. Like, doing his acting role when he has, like, a person to look at rather than just being in a recording booth. I know he says that, but even then, in some of the instances where he does voice acting, he still does really good. He still does a pretty good performance. Yeah, just wanted to get some hydration in. I've been talking quite a bit. Oh, no, that's too much up the eyebrows. I'm trying to think. What else to talk about? What else with this guy? For the record, to the people in the chat, if you have any questions that you want to ask about the characters that I'm working on, you're free to ask them. Like, whatever one that pops into your head, and I will be sure to answer them within reason. And if you're not sure of whether or not you think I would answer the question, whether or not that I would answer the question, either because, you don't know whether or not that it may be a bit too revealing of what I'm going to be doing for the plot, honestly, by all means, just ask me anyway. Just so you can get maybe an idea of, like, okay, maybe or maybe not this question I'm asking would be appropriate for me to have the guy answer. Because, you may never know. Hold on, what is... okay, that track. Oh, welcome back, Cece. Cece, I really wish you'd stop scratching my chair. You're actually starting to get some of the stuffing in it to fall out. Cece. Come here. Come here. Come on my lap. Here you go. Yeah, I can have you back in my lap, girl. Yeah, my neck's doing just a little... My neck's doing a bit better. Oh, okay. Yep, Cece is here. Hold on. I'm just trying to accommodate for the kitty. She's trying to find a spot to sit in. And she has, in fact, chosen my lap. Hey, girl. Hey, Cece. Welcome to day 12 of the lore-a-thon. I just made my 169th follower today. Aren't you proud of me, Cece? She's probably like, what does that even mean? It's okay. You don't need to know what it means. The only thing that matters is that it was funny. My source? Trust me. But yeah, I have a lot of, like, Chrome's playlist on here, like, a way to just express a lot of just the melancholy that he ends up going throughout the story, just a lot of the self-hatred that he ends up feeling for himself. So there's a lot of tracks here that are definitely on the sad side of things. But not all of them are relatively sad. There's some that also are just... There's some that are just, a bit more on the calm, relaxing side in order to, give Chrome a bit... I know this reference sheet isn't exactly showing that off, but... Trust me, guys, Chrome could be a nice guy. Chrome could be a nice, gentle giant. If you were looking at page 1 of the reference sheet, then you could trust me. You could trust me on that. Like, trust my word on it. Chrome is a nice guy who's struggling with a lot of issues. And he could probably use a hug. Maybe a therapist. But you know what? We worked on one yesterday. His name is Hiyashi. Who, we actually did finish his reference sheet during the last stream. In fact, it has been uploaded on the Twatters. If you want to look at my Twitter and follow that, you can type !Twitter in the chat, and that should bring up my Twitter page. You can follow me there. Here, I'll probably just draw the, I'll probably just do what I did for Hiyashi and just draw the ice on top. Because that worked pretty well. But yeah, in terms of, say, different types of magic, so for things like ice, he can, in fact, create other blades for himself. Like, he can make his claws longer. He can coat his horns in them, like you were going to be seeing here. He can turn his tail into a mace. Instead of fire, he can, not only can he also breathe ice, but he can also fire icicles from his mouth. Again, just a lot of different things that you can see, some characters doing with an element. Like, anything you can imagine him being able to do, yeah, Chrome can do it. And the same thing actually goes with a multitude of other characters as well, who are able to utilize the same type of magic. Cause here's a nice upbeat track for Chrome. I'll say upbeat, but it's also still rather on the gentle side. Hello, Cece. How is my kitty cat? I know I already saved, but you know what? Saving again, just in case. Alright. I think I'll work on the Comet Dash one a little bit later, just because there's going to be a lot of line work that I'm going to need to do for this. And I'd like to get... here's the thing. I like to prioritize progress over getting the harder one out of the way. Normally it would be the other way around, but I feel like for stream content, I think showcasing more would be better than just trying to get the hard one out of the way first and then just not making as much progress as I could. Listen, it makes sense in my head. That's all that matters. Now, I will also say this as well. Chrome does in fact have a brother, an older brother for that matter, and his name is Scarwing. He is a dragon that is absolutely coated in scars throughout his life, because he was a very, let's just say he was a very rugged dragon. And if there's any dragon that adores Chrome more than anyone, it is in fact his own brother. Like Scarwing absolutely adores Chrome. He looks out for him like more often than any other dragon ever does. It's like this: if Chrome has a million fans, Scarwing is one of them. If he only has one fan, then Scarwing is that one fan. If Chrome has no fans, Scarwing is dead. So let's just say that, yeah, Scarwing absolutely is Brother of the Year for this dude. Now, actually, this is something I don't think I even mentioned during All Hail the Astral Dragon. Well, actually, that's a rather interesting thing, though, about Scarwing, because, you know, I guess I might as well talk a bit about Scarwing here, since, you know, didn't have anything planned for him during the lore-a-thon, but, Scarwing is actually the only dragon who does not use magic in this series. And the main reason for that is because one day when Chrome was getting picked on by a bunch of bigger dragons when he was much younger, they ended up taking one of Chrome's personal treasures to him, and they threw it into a cave full of dark crystal. Now, if you've been here for previous lore streams, I have mentioned that dark crystal is actually very dangerous for magic users because it saps away your aura the longer you are around it. And once you end up running out of aura, it then starts sucking out at your life force. So if you are around them for too long, it can in fact do permanent damage to you and potentially kill you. Oh, now it looks like we got an ad break going on. So I will continue a bit of that story once that ad break is over. It looks like I will see you guys in a minute and 30 as I get more done on Chrome here. As well as, you know, pet the kitty. Hello, kitty. Hello, Cece. You're so cute. You're the cutest of all kitties. Yeah, Twitter, let me like and repost that, please. So yeah, because I want to say once again, thanks to Danica for the raid. I appreciate it. Yeah, here we see Chrome getting ice around his tail to form a vicious mace. And I probably won't work too much on the tail. I probably won't even get time to actually finish the tail anyway, because just looking at the other timer, we're about to approach 10 minutes. And for the ads, it looks like those are almost done. We're about 10 seconds left, so I'll be having you guys back relatively soon. And welcome back from the ad break, everybody. Hope you got ads that you wanted. Sometimes that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you're just like, oh my god, is that the same Red Bull commercial again? I've already seen this like 20 times. But anywho, so to go back to the story of Scarwing. So when this treasure of theirs was thrown into this whole area of Dark Crystal, Scarwing was actually the first to trudge through that cave and fetch back the thing that that the other dragons threw in there, just to get that back from Chrome. However, because he was going knee deep into Dark Crystal, he was facing the absolute worst of it. And once Scarwing ended up coming out, the dude was in horrible shape. His holes had wings in them. He had cuts all over his body. But he managed to get the thing he needed he managed to get the thing that Chrome treasured. It ultimately then led to Scarwing needing to seek very quick emergency service. So they end up having to bring him to some light dragons, try to see what exactly the amount of damage he took was, whether or not if it was life-threatening. The thing is, they end up coming to Chrome with some good news and bad news. The good news is that Scarwing is going to live. He's going to be fine. The bad news being, though, is that he was surrounded by so much Dark Crystal and knee-deep into it that his aura is not growing back. Which effectively means that so in the world of the Rise of Superior, aura is what is used to, well, use magic. And if Scarwing's aura is not coming back and it's not regenerating, that means that Scarwing is not capable of using magic. Ever. In fact, the damage to the Dark Crystals was so bad that it also practically shredded his vocal cords. So he also can't really talk. So yeah, Scarwing is essentially just, honestly, I guess the best way to, I think the best way to put it is that Scarwing's actually probably one of the other characters I've made that is probably one of the only characters I have in the series that you could actually consider disabled. But despite not being able to use magic, despite not being able to speak to others, despite the condition that he's in, Scarwing still finds a way to be able to talk. I do want to mention, though, Scarwing is more so of a nickname. His real name is actually Zaragan. And you'll mostly see Chrome referring to him as that. Everyone else will just be referring to him as Scarwing. It's funny enough, Amara's actually the one who gave him that name. Because, well, you just look at the boy. He's covered in those things. But I will also say that despite the position that Scarwing found himself in, you know, trying to do this for Chrome, despite how much Chrome would end up blaming himself for Scarwing's condition, Scarwing never once blamed Chrome for what happened to him. In fact, he even tells Chrome he'd do it again. Like, this, Scarwing is actually a bro. He is such a bro to this guy. And anyone who ends up disrespecting Chrome around Scarwing, you're going to be facing problems. You're going to be facing hell. It's like, hey, that's my dear brother you're making fun of. Don't you do that or I'm going to be your problem. Now, unfortunately, Scarwing wouldn't be able to say things like that since, well, he can't talk. Like, at the most, he's able to do, like, guttural roars, but that's about it. Like, he's not able to actually form words or statements. I thought I saw something like pop into my chat. Like unless I was just away, then you know. Sometimes that happens. Now, another interesting aspect I will also mention about both Chrome and Scarwing, they are in fact the same species of dragons. So, while they do both look like Spyro and whatnot, one thing that I wanted to try to look up was to see if Spyro was actually designed after a specific species of dragon. And technically he is, but I feel like the name of his species is something that was rather exclusive to, like, his universe. He's an artisan dragon, because, you know, he comes from the artisan realms. And so I figured, okay, I feel like even though I make tweaks to the designs, I feel like that's not something that I can incorporate into his character. So, instead, I decided to try to come up with something that sounded relatively similar, but not the exact same thing. But also at the same time, also helped to describe, like, his kind of dragon. And what I ended up coming up with is, the Artemis dragon. Like, the Artemis Artemis species of dragon. So, yeah, dragons named after the Greek goddess of the hunt. Which, especially for someone like, say, Scarwing, is very appropriate, considering how much of a ruthless fighter that he can be. So, the thing about Artemis dragons is that they actually do have some differentiations between say, their sex and whatnot. So, for instance, male Artemis dragons will actually have more crooked and bent horns, because those are more so meant to be offensive. Those are meant to be more so, okay, yeah, we're going to be fighting more with these, so we're going to want horns that can actually do well with fighting. Whereas mostly females will actually have horns that are curved back. So more so just to say, like, you know, these are more so on the lines of these are defensive horns. Occasionally, though, there are times where some instances of male dragons will have features on them that are more seen in female variations of their species. And Chrome is one of them. His horns are curled back. Now, Scarwing does have the crooked ones, so his are more so for his horns are definitely much more made for combat, but for Chrome's they're definitely more on the defensive angle. Since they're so curved back that more often or not, what he ends up needing to use these horns for is simply to say, maybe just parry an oncoming attack that comes his way. Like, he'll put his horns down, like, try to block an attack coming onto him, then with all of his neck muscle, he'll just whip his head upwards, and then just, he'll just parry the attack right off of his horns. Like, they're definitely not used for, like, long-term scuffles. They're definitely more so a defensive get off of me ordeal, which I think is far more appropriate for Chrome's character, because again, he definitely relies more on the magic, since he's the one who actually studies the magic more than any other dragon, but also just in terms of actual fighting, he's definitely just more on the defensive side of things. Like, he doesn't really get out there he doesn't really do anything much to get into the fray to get any, like, overlasting damage on somebody. He's more so wait for an opening, watch my opponent, let them move first, and then I'll respond. Whereas, unlike Scarwing, he would probably just be like, nah, I attack, but more importantly, I attack. Okay, that's Hollow Knight music. I was wondering why it sounded so angelic. But I will also say as well to you people watching, if you ever wanted to say have the idea of having a dragon for a friend, Chrome is actually probably the easiest one you would do that with, because Chrome actually does have fascination with the human world. In fact, he actually tries to do a lot of research on it during his downtime, where he'll try to hide out just because he doesn't really want to scare too many people who've never actually seen a real dragon before. Because, like, you know, even though, like, dragons are known to exist here, it's along the same lines of something like, say, you know, yeah, we know things like, you know, strange exotic creatures exist, like say monitor lizards. We know monitor lizards exist, but we don't see them in our everyday life. And whenever we do, we tend to freak out because it's like, oh god, we know what these kind of things do. I want to get out of here. It's kind of the same thing with Chrome here. Like, they know that dragons exist, but not only are they just not very common, but also because they're not very common to see, people don't know what to do when they eventually encounter one. But in order to keep them at ease of mind, he does try to keep himself like at a distance to watch these people, in order to just learn how these people live, what they do, and just also, more importantly, to remind himself that while they do live in the human world, since the dragon realms have been completely shattered and destroyed, no thanks to the demons when the initial war started, he realizes it also reminds him that this is a world that the dragons need to protect as long as they live here, because the war is going to get dragged into our backyard. And now we're going to end up having to deal with what they've been going through, and they don't want us to have Chrome doesn't want us to have too many casualties as a result. But yeah, if you wanted a Durgan friend, Chrome is definitely the one you'd be able to do that with. Up, and there is the timer. That is 30 minutes. So, yeah, that was a nice, decent recap of Chrome. We actually got quite a bit done on here. You know what? I'm glad for that. I'm glad to get some more progress being done. But now, before I move on to the next character, I do want to take care of a couple of other things off the screen. But we do have the next character up in the lineup, and we're going to be touching up a bit more on the Dragon General herself, Amara. Let me just get her playlist up. Come on, you can load the music. You can do it. There we go. So, this, you can definitely hear where exactly this type of character is going just from that first track, can't you? So yeah, Amara, I will say this, like, of all the times that we were talking about Amara, she absolutely has left an impact on some people who've been keeping up. And you're about to see why once I get that timer started. Now, we do, in fact, have page 1 of her sheet finished. And on top of that, it's also something that I'm super happy to be able to say that while working on Amara's stuff, we did, in fact, get ourselves a brush exclusively for drawing scales. So, my old process where I draw dragon scales one at a time individually, I no longer have to do that anymore. So, yay! We love it when things are easy. All right. Started the timer. So Amara, she is General of the Dragon Army, and she is a master of the Earth element. In fact, Amara out of every single dragon, is considered one of the strongest out there. And that is mainly because of her way of utilizing earth magic is in a way that not too many other dragons thought would ever be practically used in a way, but Amara manages to find a way to make it work beautifully, as well as just, in general, just make some of those dragons just feel kind of stupid for underestimating her. And that is mostly as a way of controlling the environment. So as you can see here, because this is page 2 that we're working on with this to showcase some of the things she can do. She can do the Earth Shot because, decided to steal that from Legend of Spyro because I love the idea of that. Just, an Earth Dragon's breath weapon is just their yell. That's honestly one of the most metal ideas ever. But also, she's able to shift around the earth however that she needs it to. She can create pillars from the ground. She can create spikes to skewer people with. She can cover herself in rocks in order to create things like barriers or just make attacks of hers just hit much harder. She can have 2 pillars come up to crush someone in between them. For other maneuvers that she also has, she is able to use earth to say maybe move the ground underneath you. So it's like, oh, hey, you're going in that direction. Now you're going the other direction. Now you look stupid. And now you're going to get a tail whack. And there you go. But she's also a very no-nonsense type of character as well. Because, I mean, when you are the general of a militia and you're trying to train new recruits, you kind of got to be a little no-nonsense. Hold on, is there something going up? Is something going up with my... Okay, hold on. Okay, yeah, so I was wondering why my avatar wasn't moving for a second. I'm like, wait a minute, is this thing stuck? I'm like, okay, no, never mind, no it isn't. I think it's because I accidentally minimized it is probably the thing. Like, I have to click away from it in a way where it doesn't completely minimize the window. But also is also just really good at being able to hide the thing as well. It's weird. But yeah, I think if I just minimize it, then yeah, it just decides it's gonna freeze my avatar, and then suddenly, I can't do my multitude of expressions anymore. Although, there's rare times I'm able to actually do that, just because, like, whenever I'm on, like, a different program, because I actually have to be on the streaming program itself just to be able to change the way that my faces are. Because I have plenty of these things. Like, I have this face, I have this face, I have this face. The saddest of all my faces. I have this face! But because I'm not on the program itself, like, yeah, just watch. I'm gonna try to... Yeah, no, it doesn't let me do it on here. And I think it's mainly because... I think it's probably just because some of the hotkeys that I have for the face itself are also usable with the program itself. So when I have this program open, it overrides the avatar. So I'm not able to actually move it around unless I'm on the... Unless I click really fast on the streaming software itself, and then it's like, okay, now I have access to my buttons. Probably might be something I can do when I eventually can get myself like a stream deck. It's like, okay, now I have my hotkeys here. I can press these to just change my face around. Yeah, because that's something I still need to. That's something I still need to look into. Yeah. But yeah, so for Amara as a character, she can be very loud, she can be very enforcing, she can be strict, but also she's intelligent in a way that's different from Chrome. Where Chrome is definitely more intelligent on the emotional side of things. Amara has more wisdom on the combative side of things. Like, she's more... Again, she has the mind of a general. Like, whereas Chrome's wisdom is to... okay, so this is the way that I put it. So, Chrome's wisdom, whenever he does have time to give it, is supposed to give you a means of, like, okay, maybe I can think and reflect upon something like this. Amara's wisdom is supposed to inspire you. Like, it's supposed to make you want to be better. It wants to make you improve. But, you know, makes sense when you're a general. Now, for Amara's headcanon voice, For her, I actually have one person in mind for that, and that is essentially Elizabeth Maxwell. More particularly, it is her voice for Urbosa from Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. You know, just probably just have some effects done to like make the voice a bit deeper, more draconic. And I think that would just be I think that'd be relatively perfect. I think that would be the perfect sounding voice for a character that, well, essentially demands respect. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's coming along pretty good. That'd be perfect for a general. Yeah, thank you, Roxas. I'm glad you agree on that. Also, hello there, Roxas. Welcome to day 12 of the lore-a-thon. We're doing another lightning round. We just finished touching up Chrome a little bit. We started with Shadow Kumiko, where I drew the man without his helmet on, and it became quite easily the most cursed thing I've ever drawn. In fact, I don't even know if I want to go back to it. It's kind of scary. It's like, I was just initially looking at this man, just like, man, look at this Nosferatu looking ass. And then the more line work I ended up putting to his face to, like, make it look, to make it look more ugly. It's just like, oh, God, it keeps getting worse. Then we added the color, and then it just still kept getting worse. Okay. By the way, for those of you who are new to the lore-a-thon, so to the left of me is the schedule that I'm going to be having for the remainder of this event. Because, yeah, this is going to be a month-long event. It's going to be nothing but art streams where I work on my original characters, my original story. And, I do want to give a bit of a heads up. There will be a chance tomorrow where, what I have initially planned to do for tomorrow will actually be moved to Wednesday, because I don't know if I'll have all the things ready to work on Mao just yet. So, depending if I do or not, I will let you guys know, but there will be a chance that rather than working on his reference sheet tomorrow, we'll actually be working on some landscape images. Essentially giving you guys effectively giving you guys a little bit of world building about some of the realms in which these characters are able to go to. Because after all, this war between dragons and demons span across a multitude of different worlds, a multitude of different multiverses, including places like, say, the Shadow Realm, the Realm of Nightmares, the Realm of the Dead, the Realm of Darkness. Going here. Well, I will also say, like, aside from, even though I did mention when working on Chrome that his brother is possibly Chrome's like biggest supporter, Amara is also another one, because even though Amara tends to be relatively strict towards other recruits, she is a bit more understanding in Chrome's situation that he's in, because Chrome never really initially got involved in military combat. In fact, because of the amount of damage that ended up being done to the Dragon Realms, some dragons ended up having to be forced into working with the militia just to make sure that all their kind just didn't straight up die out. So they ended up having to be trained as soldiers. And Chrome is along one of those dragons where, yeah, he was never initially cut out for military. He was never cut out for war. And Amara is rather sympathetic that he ended up having to go through something like that. But at the same time, Amara also will occasionally remind Chrome every now and then that we have no choice but to do this. And if we don't, we're all just gonna die anyway. So why not, at the very least, put up a fight? Let's not make it easy for them to just come in and act like they own the place. But it's also just the fact that Amara also knows that Chrome is an exceptionally talented magic user. And she wants to be able to get that out of him. It's just, you know, unfortunate that, you know, Chrome does have some confidence issues. Oh, welcome back, Cece. Yes, Cece, I hear you. You're a very pretty kitty. And Cece, I really wish you'd stop scratching my chair. I really wish you'd stop doing that. Go on, you can go on my lap. Go on. There you go. The kitty has returned. She gave me poop with her nose. Hey. Cece doesn't know what she wants to do. She's kind of walking back and forth between my lap and on my computer desk. There you go. There you go, Cece. You can sit on my lap. Such a cute kitty. It's a very cute kitty. One that I love giving pets to. Now, I will also mention this as well, because some of you are also probably looking at Amara and going, hey, Realm, that Amara's head is looking rather familiar to a certain lizard that you keep talking about committing mass genocide to. What's going on here? Well, believe it or not, folks, there was a point in time where I did not hate Charizard. In fact, I actually did really like Charizard. And it's because of that, I thought, you know what? I think it'd be super cool if I made a better Charizard. One that was, may have a similar head shape, but instead of being a bitch to rocks, she chucked them at people instead. And it was something that, you know, I ended up really liking. I thought it was a design that went pretty hard. Because another thing about Amara is that she has multiple arms. She has 6 of them. And they are all very, very strong arms. They are musclier. But despite my current viewpoint on that orange lizard and how it has been absolutely ruined for me by people who constantly throw at every game that he's playable in, I still think the design goes hard enough to be like, nah, I don't want to change anything on this. So Charizard, you get 1. Oh, looks like I got an ad break going on. I will see you guys back in a minute and 30. So yeah, definitely be patient with the ads, because I know people find them annoying. I understand people find them annoying. But they do, in fact, help your favorite content creators. And I know not everyone has the money for subscribing, or at the very least they want to be able to, or at the very least they want to keep, be able to like keep some money to like save up for something else. That's perfectly fine. This is another way you can just support those creators, and they do appreciate it. And for the few that end up wanting to make their own videos just to be like, well, see, you should be subscribing and stuff like that. You know what? Don't listen to those people. Don't listen to those people. They're greedy. They only see you as a wallet. And that's not what you are. You're good viewers. You're good viewers who help support streamers however way that you possibly can. Like even if it's just watching ad revenue, that's enough. You know, don't do what you can't. Alright, and welcome back. You know, some people are probably just thinking, like, why is Rum talking about these things when the streamers themselves, when the viewers themselves can't even hear that? Well, because that's what the VOD on YouTube is going to be for, so you guys can watch the whole thing completely uninterrupted. Because, yeah, that's something that I've been doing for a good chunk of these, where I end up taking these streams, I download the VOD, and then I put it on the YouTube. In fact, so far, every single stream that we have done is in fact on the YouTube page. So again, if at any point you want to, if at any point you want to be able to check those out, perhaps maybe hear about what you missed, the VODs are there for you to look at. Including the last time we actually did one of these lightning rounds. Because this isn't the first time we've done stuff like this. Ooh. I do believe I'm smelling Din-Din's cooking down there, so there may be a chance where I end up having to go on BRB for a little bit. Because the Din-Dins do be cooking. So here's how I'm going to be here's how I'm going to be doing it. So depending on whether or not either the timer goes off or I am called down to dinner, that will be when we finish with Amara. And then we move on to the next character once I am back from either one. Figure that sounds fair. Does that sound fair, CC? Does that sound fair to you? Yeah, she's purring. It sounds fair to her. Also, speaking of Amara, I believe if any of you guys are in fact following the channel, you do in fact have access to an Amara emote. I believe so. In fact, it is this one. Yep, that's a follow emote. So yeah, if you want to use the Amara Grump emote at any chance you want to, just be sure to hit that follow button. Especially since the more followers we end up getting, the closer we will be getting to that art raffle. We're 31 away from it, so like I believe you guys can do it. I believe you guys can make it. Maybe not today. It's fine if we don't make it today. But somewhere down the line, I'm sure that we will eventually. And don't worry, people. There will be plenty of art raffles that I will be holding because yeah, we're gonna have many different type of follower goals happening. We're gonna be having many different. We're gonna have many different milestones where where you will have a chance to earn different kinds of art raffles. You know what? This is the closest I'll be able to have Attack on Titan music playing on these streams without upsetting, Hiroyuki Sawano. Because I've tried to play some of his tracks before back when I was streaming on YouTube, and those videos did not do well. Oh, and it sounds like Din-Din's is ready for me, so alright, so I believe this is where we're going to call it for Amara for right now, because like I mentioned, it was either it's going to get called down for dinner, or the timer was going to go off, so we're actually going to stop this one a bit early. And yeah, I shall see you guys when I get back from my dinner break. And I'll just be sure to pin that. And I'll also go here, because sometimes it's weird, because like I do keep my stream open on one end just to make sure there's maybe just some things that I can see on this end that I can't with my own streaming software, as well as just, you know, I'll be able to refresh and be like, okay, I can see who I can try to raid into on my end. But there we go. Oh, Dewey, Of course you get a hug, but man, unfortunately you do have some rather bad timing because I'm actually about to go on. I'm actually gonna have myself a dinner break. But if you want to hang around and at the very least like try to be somewhat patient with me, I will be right back. But while I do so, let's see. I do want to. Let's see. Where are? No, you're fine, Dwayne. You're fine. I was trying to see if I could find the image of, like, say... Actually, you know what? They might be in my screenshots. It might be in my screenshots. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to keep these up here. Just, you know, again, just to remind you that we are, in fact, doing follower goals. And these are the things that you can win. These are the things we'll end up doing when we reach to those number of followers. Because, man, it'd be a real shame if I were to come back from my Din-Din's break and I just got a bunch of followers. I wouldn't know what to do if that were to happen. Anywho, I'm gonna get going now. Enjoy the music, do whatever things you need to do to take a break, and I will be back. I am back, and there was a kitty waiting for me the whole time. It's like while I was off having my din-dins, this little girl was here the whole time. Just being like, when's she getting back? But yep, we are in fact back. And as I mentioned, now that I have in fact returned from the din-dins, now that I've returned from the din-dins, I have a cat that's constantly snuggling me. Hey girl. Hello, Cece. You're so cute. Precious baby. Alright, so, like I mentioned, once I got back from dinner break, I was going to move on to the next character. That being Iwa Kenja. And no better way to start him off than being humble as fuck. Cece couldn't handle Captain America. She's just like,
Nah. Not humble enough. I'm out of here.
so yeah, I feel like these two things I'm probably going to be focusing the most on this reference sheet with, which is perfectly fine. But before I actually get started on him, I got a message to send to a certain other individual. Alright, and I will leave him with that message. And start with Iwa Kenja. Let's get that timer going. So yeah, I do hope that you guys had yourselves a nice and relaxing break, whatever you guys needed to do. I certainly had a nice time away from here. But right now, we are working on Iwa Kenja. He is an Earth Dragon Sage. Funny, we were working a bit on the Ice Sage yesterday. Here, we're working on the Earth one, even though we were technically working on his first, because his sheet was being worked on before Hiyashi's was. But we are now going back to sprucing up a little bit more of this. There we go. I think this should be... Yeah, that's good. That's good. So Iwa Kenja, he's a goofy guy. He can be quite a silly dude. But he is also a very, very strong user in Earth Magic. So I initially was trying to consider having Iwa Kenja fitting into what is known as the himbo character archetype. So a character who was, because I'm sure you guys know what a himbo is. You guys know what himbos do. Like if you've seen Krog from The Emperor's New Groove, that man is the poster boy for what a himbo should be. However, ultimately, as I was starting to write more and more of his character, he kind of started slipping more out of that archetype, and that's mainly just due to the factoid that a himbo has to be three type of things. They have to be strong, which he is. We got an ad break going on. All right, I will continue that thought once you guys are back from the ad break. But hope you guys can be a little patient with me in that front. Because again, I know how annoying ads can be for some people. But I do appreciate you sitting through them nonetheless, because it does give support to your favorite content creators. I also believe it doesn't necessarily stop you from getting channel points, so there's at least still a benefit to you sticking around. At least one's for you. But less than 30 seconds, and I will have you guys back, and I can continue on my talk about the himbo archetype. You know, a lot of people's favorite that I thought I was writing for this dude, but it turned out that I kind of wasn't. And I'll be explaining that once you people have returned. Once you are no longer in ad hell. About 5 seconds left. Let me at least get a swig of water. Okay, welcome back, guys. Welcome back from the ad break. Yeah, there we go. Because I want the sleeves to be like rocking up there. Okay, so to go back to what I was referring to, so there are 3 things that a character is required to have in order to be able to be classified as the himbo archetype, and that is they need to be strong, which Iwa Kenja certainly is. They need to be stupid, which, again, Iwa Kenja certainly can have that ground covered. He can, in fact, do the stupid things. So he's got 2 out of the 3. The only thing that I argued with him not having, which would have affected him being able to have the himbo archetype, is that a himbo also needs to be kind. And Iwa Kenja can have a little bit of a mean streak. Like, he's not malicious, but there are times where he can just kind of say things that are like, dude, what the fuck? Or, like, he'll maybe put somebody up to something that is like let me just put it like this. He is the type of person who will know that, say, Kamiko, because he wasn't able to, like, get a proper education due to having to live on his own since he was 5. He would take that knowledge of Kamiko being rather naive and just try to convince him of, like, a whole bunch of... and try to convince Kamiko about a whole bunch of different things just to make him look stupid. And he would do that as a bit. Like, Iwa Kenja would totally be that guy who would walk up to Kamiko and just be like, hey, did you know women could just take their boobs off? It's like, go on, ask Ryota. She does it all the time. Like, he absolutely would be that guy. He would 100% be that dude. But there's also just the fact, because speaking of Ryona, Iwa Kenja really likes trying to flirt with Ryona, because he seems to think he has this idea in his mind that eventually he'll be the one that ends up getting to her. What did I come back to? You came back to me describing just the kind of character that Iwa Kenja would be that would ultimately not have him be, like, part of the himbo archetype. And that being that, yeah, like, he would be that kind of guy, because Kamiko's not very well educated, would go up to him and be like, hey, did you know women can take their boobs off? Ask Ryona, she does it all the time. Just to see if Kamiko would be naive enough to do it. It's like, yeah, like, they can just come right off, dude. I was wondering what that sound was. I thought I heard, like, some low-pitched growl. Like, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's in the soundtrack. But as for right now, the state that I am actually drawing Iwakenja in is one where he decides he needs to start taking it up a notch. Because as a Dragon Sage, he has what is known as a Foul Superior trait. In fact, that's exactly what the dragon tattoo on his forehead is there for. So, when he became a Dragon Sage, he obtained that mark, which allowed him to essentially gain what is known as a Superior trait, which is an ability that only Superiors are able to wield, and it can give them rather interesting power sets. So for Kamiko's case, his Superior trait is Breathless. The boy is not required to breathe oxygen, and that is because it is actually his aura that ends up powering and fueling his entire body, rather than needing blood to push oxygen to his brain. The aura does all of that, which is supposed to be an explanation as to why Kamiko essentially is a man who runs on a Duracell battery. He never goes out. He just goes on and on. But it also makes it so that, yeah, Kamiko is also just a much harder character to kill because, like, trying to get him to die through blood loss does not work. You want to try to strangle the guy? Does not work. He doesn't need that stuff. And it is a ability that is always passive on Kamiko at all times. Like, he doesn't need to activate it. In fact, that's actually a major difference between a typical superior trait and a foul superior trait, because they're not actually able to completely mimic those kind of abilities. So what ends up happening is instead of having a passive that's just always on them, they have an ability in which they can activate. And these abilities are on a much more wild scale compared to say a typical superior trait, but at the cost is that these traits actually cost aura in order to utilize. So for Iwakenja's case, his superior trait basically allows for aura to pump into his body in order to have it perform at beyond normal capacity. Yeah, think of it like that whole stupid idea that humans only use 20% of their brain, and now Iwakenja is using 100% of his body and can even go further beyond. Which explains this state here, because this is how he normally looks. If I can get rid of some of the guidelines, this is how he normally looks here. Typical Iwakenja is kind of goofy. Don't worry, this is still part of his hair, because every single stream, I have had at least one person ask me, is he a cat boy? No, he isn't. That's just his hair. Because I wanted to get, like, a bit of a hairstyle for Iwakenja that was... It had a bit of neatness in some places, but also wild in some other areas. Because I figured just the best way to kind of just showcase the kind of guy that he is was just give him both like some neat-looking hair in one places and just wild in some others. But then when he activates his superior trait, he gets Vegeta hair, minus the Widow's Peak. We gave the Widow's Peak to Shadow Kamiko. Oh boy, did we give it to Shadow Kamiko. But in that state, his body is going to continuously keep bulking up with muscle in order to make him stronger, faster, and it also does make him smarter, so he does actually fight on a more tactical level when he is in the state. And on top of that, you may have, it's actually a pose that I'm kind of working on right now, he also summons a staff made out of stone. And that is because one of the other developments that I ended up having for him, it was a bit of a later development, but I wanted to also have some Sun Wukong inspirations with this guy. Another character who's, rather wild, impulsive, but when it does come to the heart of battle, if there's anyone you don't mess with, it's Sun Wukong.
Hi, Cece.
And that is why he has the staff here. That is entirely made out of stone. For something that he can actually do with earth magic when he's wielding this thing, is that not only does he have, like, stones gathering around to make, like, this staff that he can use to whack people with, he can gather even more together to make the staff even longer, to make it wider, because, you know, that was one of Wukong's powers that he had with his staff. It was a size-changing one. He can make it bigger or he can make it smaller. And the way that Iwakenja ends up making it smaller is something I'm going to be doing here. He whacks a dude so hard with it that it makes the staff burst into smaller pebbles that can ultimately, like, allow for the staff to be at a shorter size, or in some cases, let him take some of the ones that exploded off of the other staff he just broke off and form it into a second one so he can dual-wield staffs. I just think, in general, that is a really cool idea visually.
Cece, what is it? Cece, we don't want. Just trying to see what's going on.
I'm just streaming, CC. You've seen me do it before. You've seen me do streaming before. In fact, you sat on my lap or on my bed while I do so. Yes, that's what I do. I do this. In fact, I've been doing it rather regularly. That's quite the opinion you have there, Cece. And we can respect it. We respect the opinions of the cat. Because she is a very cute kitty. Now, the thing, though, with Iwakenja is that while his superior trait, while his foul superior trait absolutely gives him, like, some major benefits, it does come at a very dangerous drawback. Due to a freak accident with getting his Sage Mark onto him, his reacts a bit differently than what it should.
Oh, Cece. Meow.
Aww. What's up, Cece? What you doing? What you doing? Okay. You just want to get on my lap? Okay, you can get on my lap. This is actually a really good... You know what, Cece? This is actually a really good angle that I can have you being here, because I don't have to turn too much for you to be on my lap, so here we go. Yay! We found a compromise. I get to have a cute kitty on my lap, and I don't have to turn my neck so much. Good girl. Good girl. See, this is why we love Cece. This is why we praise the Cece. So, because of said accident that happened with, Iwakenja's, Sage Mark, typically how a Sage would activate their foul superior trait is they just touch their tattoo, and that's all that they need to do. For Iwakenja's, his is so sensitive that if it is at all exposed, his ability will start to activate. Which is the reason why he has a headband on him. It's so that aura doesn't have to spill into the mark and activate his ability whenever he doesn't want it to. And the reason why that is a problem when it just suddenly activates is that the longer he is in this state, the more and more his body is going to bulk up. And it can in fact get to the point where his muscles will bulk up so much that he has a hard time actually moving. Because, thank Jorgen von Strangle when he had a cat scratching his face, and he's like, muscles too big, can't reach face. So it can get to that length, and for the record, they'll still keep going. They'll keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually his skin won't be able to contain it. And his muscles will, in fact, rip out of his body and kind of leave Iwakenja as a very bloody mess on the floor. So, not pretty stuff. So this is a state that Iwakenja will have to enter in when he really needs to finish a fight as quickly as possible. Because he is basically on a time limit. all he's got to do is just have a way to cover up the mark, and then suddenly his ability starts to quiet down, and his body starts to revert back to normal. You're very cute, Cece. You're the cutest kitty. Got some 12 minutes on the clock, and then after Iwakenja will actually be our last one, because I do unfortunately have work a bit later in the day, and I am unfortunately not able to go about as a bit later as I'd like to, because we do not have a second shift on, so I have to go into work a bit early, which I do not like. Like, trust me, if I could make this like my actual like full-time job, I fucking would. Now, for headcanon voices, I actually have 3 in mind for Iwakenja. The first one, Danica, if you happen to be hanging around in the chat, I think you'd really like this one. One of my headcanon voices for him is, in fact, Robbie Damon, specifically his performance as Chai from Hi-Fi Rush. Just because I 100% could see Iwakenja having that moment, having like a very similar moment to where he would call someone oblivious. People just get mad at him for doing that, and then he just turns around and goes, wait, what does oblivious mean? Like, that's 100% an Iwakenja moment. He would have something like that. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, Robbie Damon, you're just playing the same kind of character again, you know? Except sometimes you become super serious. And you get a big stick. You have stick very good. The second one that I had in mind is, okay, ICC. The second one that I had in mind is Todd Habercorn. More specifically, his voice for Natsu Dragneel from Fairy Tail. Although, I don't know, I feel like Todd Habercorn is also just another one of those actors where, like, his voice is also just so easy to recognize because he uses the same one for a multitude of different characters. Because, like, I swear, I hear Natsu in, like, a number of different characters that he plays. Like, I know he played Skune in Rosario Vampire. And, like, again, his voice in that was just, you know, oh, just do Natsu. But that was another thing that I thought was like, yeah, this would probably be an appropriate sounding voice for Iwakenja. Oh, Pikmin! Thank you for the raid of 2, bud! Here, let me get you your shout out. Metroid raid! Alright, so, the Great Pikmin ZX789. So yeah, thank you so much for the raid. So for those of you, you know what, I'll give you a follow. I'll give you a follow. Just in case I happen to want to raid into you whenever I'm going around, and you happen to be doing your own thing. But, hello raiders, it is I, Realmores. I'm a PNG tuber who predominantly does artwork. This is day 12 of the lore-a-thon. I am doing a lightning round of characters whose reference sheets I have not finished yet. We are currently on Iwakenja, who is an Earth Dragon Sage, who actually is trained under Amara. And he's a bit of a rowdy guy. He's rather rambunctious, and he can be a troll in some cases, or when he takes off the headband, he becomes Rar Kill You. Yeah, if you'd like to keep up with more of the lore-a-thon, feel free to drop a follow, because I have the schedule over on the left-hand side of the screen. You can take a quick look at that to see what's going to be coming up later in the month, because this is going to be a month-long event. And if you want to be able to be caught up on those streams, feel free to drop a follow, especially since we are also, we do have follower goals that we are hoping to try and meet. The first one being a relatively easy one. I figure it's like, at 200 followers, then I will be holding an art raffle, where you basically will have the chance of getting a free art piece from me that involves you choosing Kamiko to fight whoever that you want. That's the blue guy you see here. That's the guy that I make my avatar, that you've probably seen on other people's streams. more likely chances, probably one from the British Florida Man variety. But you'll be able to make him fight whoever you want. And for the record, I am not limiting that to just my OCs. You can make him fight whoever it is that you want him to fight. You know, you could be like, oh, I want him to fight, you know, I want him to fight Orochimaru from Naruto. I want him to fight, I want him to fight this dude from this anime that I really like. Or, you know, if you guys really want to be funny and, give me something to be like, oh boy, I'm gonna have some explaining to do. It's like, you could even be like, I want to see Kamiko fight Dr. Crafty. It's like, whatever you ask, whatever you make his opponent, will be made into an art piece of Kamiko fighting that guy. The only exception I'm going to be making, though, with that is, you're not allowed to pick Dirk from, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because I've already done that. In fact, I did that specifically for another friend of mine known as Zenny Draws, because, she hates Dirk. And I'm like, you know what? Dirk is also a poop munch, so let me make this for you, because you're a wonderful person, and you're great, and you're loved, and you're talented, and, you know exactly what to do to fluster me. So I feel like I owe you. But most importantly, I did it because I like you. And I hate Dirk. Because he's a butt munch. Stabbed my wife! But we gotta make it to 200 followers first before we do that raffle. So yeah, Pikmin, how was your stream? So yeah, you see you're doing a Metroid, right? Alright, so I take it you were doing some Metroids. How was the Metroiding? If you do need a raid and run, that's perfectly fine. I understand that. Always make sure that you take care of yourself first. Don't be like me, where it's like I raid into somebody and then I'm just like, oh, I can join their call? Well, maybe I'll do just that. And then I'm just right there. It's like, hello, everybody, I'm here. And they're like, oh, hi, Realm. Oh, hi, Mark. Mark is, in fact, not my real name. So, don't go calling me that. That's what some people call a reference. But yeah, Iwa Kenju was also another character I covered in the lightning round, which you can in fact see as a VOD on the YouTube page itself. Yeah, I was playing some Metroid ROM hacks from a contest entry, knocked out three out of the 11 entries so far. Ooh, nice. I take it that's similar to, like, say, the Sonic hacking contest, where, like, but instead of Sonic, it's just Metroid hacks. That's interesting. Hopefully Nintendo don't say anything about it this time. Like, oh, what's that? People are making Metroid hacks? Kill them! Do to them what we did to AM2R! Oh yeah, that's very good indeed. Yeah, in a similar vein to that. Alright, it certainly sounds like it. Yeah, some of those entries have got to be whack, though. Because I've seen what some people have submitted to the Sonic hacking contest, so it's like, oh god, I can only imagine the kind of whiplash you'd receive for some of the wackier Metroid ones. It's like, ah yes, it's Metroid 1, only instead the Metroids are Thomas the Tank Engine. And we turned Ridley into Goku. Yeah, because the Sonic hacking contest always have those kind of joke entries, so I'd like to imagine, like, Metroid also gets some of those. It's like, look, we're not here to win this. We're just here to do something funny and stupid. And you know what? I can respect those people. Like, those are the people that they know they're not gonna win. Like, they're like, oh, we're not gonna win this contest. We're not gonna win any awards here, but boy howdy is our entry's gonna be remembered for how much it ends up killing the host and the judges of these streams. Yeah, can't help but respect that. Well, welcome back, CC. CC, what is it? CC, if you're worried, it's okay. I'm just talking to my audience. I know there's at least one patch resource where Spore Spawn was edited to be an apple. Samus, eat this apple. Why? Just do it! Like, why does it taste like Spore Spawn? Don't worry about it. I'm going to worry about it. No, don't worry about it. I'm going to exclusively worry about it. Well, don't do that. There you go, CC. You don't have to worry. I'm fine, CC. I'm fine. I'm just talking to people is all. Are you just upset you don't feel included in the conversation? Well, you can be. Here you are. You're in the conversation now. Do you have opinions to say, CC? I love it when you nudge. Your nudges are so cute. You have very cute nudges. But you're also a very cute kitty, so it makes sense. We got 30 seconds left on that clock, so we're about to actually move on to the last character we're going to be covering. And honestly, I feel like with how much work is left to do with her, I actually might be able to finish her first page before the end of this. So that would be pretty cool. I'm also probably not going to bother like starting the timer on this one either, just because it'll be the last one we do, and I know exactly when I want to end the stream anyway. It'll be fine. And there is the timer. All right, so that is in fact the 30 seconds up. I'm just gonna finish lining up this until I end up moving on to the last one that I do. Just like I'm almost done with this foot. Might as well. There we go. Not as much progress as we got done on the last one, but I think that's also just because, you know, I also had to do, like, the secondary sketch for it as well, just to make sure everything was looking the way that I needed it to. But, for now... So yeah, sorry, Dokkan Battle. Here, we're going to be moving on to the last one. And, typically, this is where I would put up a trigger warning to, mention that we are going to be seeing a character with some scars on her, but I think I'll actually be able to do this in a way where we won't have to see them. But for that, I'm just messaging a certain somebody. Alright, so yeah, there we go. So we're going to be trying to finish up Riona's stuff, because these are the last three things that I'm going to want to do, because I already got this all shaded off-stream when I finished Hiyashi stuff. Then I figured I was going to add a couple more things, including Riona having her hair down, because I haven't done something like that. So yeah, because normally she has a ponytail, but here, it's like, nah, this is what happens when her hair is down. So, Riona, I will say that... Oh. Jordan!
Hey.
Jordan, so, I'm glad that you were here because, yeah, we are working on Riona's right now. In fact, she's going to be the last character we work on for this until I end the stream.
Okay.
Alright, and... Listen, because there is a reaction of yours that I am expecting to see, but we just hit an ad break. So I'll see you guys in a minute and 30.
Yay.
Yeah, but we actually are almost done with page 1 of Riona's stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, how are you doing?
Sleepy.
Yeah, you missed your vacation already?
No, not so much that. It's one of those days at work. It was good to be back, but that level of fatigue.
Right. Yeah, it tends to feel that way after you just get done. I wouldn't be surprised if I also feel the same way once I get back to work on my end. So I was also taking some time off. We got 30 seconds left on the ads. I know this pose in particular is what I'm going to be using with Riona, because I mentioned that she can turn her ponytail into an ice blade, and you know what? I need to have a thing for that.
Okay, I apologize if my reaction to the first scene thing you want me to react to is underwhelming. I'm not all here right now.
It's fine, but anyway, welcome back from the ad break, everyone. So, the thing that I wanted to show you, Jordan, is, have you ever seen Riona with her hair down?
Oh. That's it. That's the reaction.
It's like, I am staring respectfully. And, yeah, I figure it's like, you know, it's something that I've rarely ever drawn Riona with. Like, I've rarely ever drawn her with her hair down. It's like, you know what? I figure I might as well have something with that.
Mm.
You know, just so it looks like, just so people know what it looks like if she doesn't have a ponytail, whether the bangs in the front of her hair, they're not tied up. So, yeah. Riona. So, she's a character who's gone quite through it. Let's just say that.
Mm.
You said it.
Yeah, this is how you can tell how tired I am. I'm just communicating through grunts.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, you're doing the Kratos thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you do need to leave, that's fine. Like I just wanted you to be here just so you can see that. Because I know how much you like Riona.
Yeah. We got the reaction, so yeah. Later. There
he goes. Off to do his relaxing thing. So, Riona's character, like I mentioned, she's gone through a lot of different things. And a lot of those things happen to be her going through, let's just say, she ended up going through a lot of abuse in her family. Because, as I mentioned during her stream, as well as the lightning round that we ended up doing, that also involved Riona, her father initially was very happy to be getting a child, but he wanted a son. So you could only imagine the frustration and anger he ended up having when it would turn out that his kid was going to be a daughter. So when people's backs were turned, her father would end up doing a lot of horrible things to Riona, such as like he would resort to things like beating her, berating her, shunning her, as well as also threatening her if she ever told anyone what the guy was doing to her. With the only safe haven that she had in her own home being with her mother, because her mother treated her very well. Until eventually a day came where Riona's dad ended up reacting in ways that, well, let's just say we're beyond his usual aggression levels. And it actually got to the point that he would be showing this kind of behavior right in front of Riona's mother, something that he wouldn't normally be doing. And because of this, Riona's mom does try to defend her. Tells Riona that you need to run, you need to get out of here, run with your life. To which she does, because, of course she's going to trust her mom. But after some time passes, she decides she wants to return home because she's trying to, because it's like she's out all on her own, still relatively young, and is desperate to try to find some place of shelter, and the only thing that can come to her mind is her own home. And she thought, it's kind of gone on for a little bit, maybe it's quieted down, let me see if I can go back home, and maybe at the very least, if he's still there, I can just hide under my bed or something. Riona gets back, and the entire house is in shambles. The father is nowhere to be found, but her mother's, well, let's just say she's not moving anytime soon. So Riona, now abandoned as an orphan, now is trying to live life relatively similarly to what Kamiko ended up going through, except Riona actually was able to get herself into an orphanage because, well, there was no adult supervision around for her, and they can't just leave her at the doorstep. So they end up taking her in. Which almost resulted in Riona getting adopted by a man that had less than noble intentions with the kid that he wanted to take in. But rather than her almost getting adopted by this guy, one of the friends she made at the orphanage, one of the friends that she made at an orphanage who was a male, ends up taking her place instead. Like, take me instead, adopt me instead. And ends up taking her place. Not long after that, there is news that comes to the orphanage that not only did the guy that come by to pick up a kid, not only is he in a less than favorable position right now in terms of law enforcement, but the kid he adopted did not make it. So in a panic, Riona does run from that orphanage in order to make sure she doesn't ever run into a situation like that again, where she is at risk of being adopted by someone who may or may not even be crueler than the person she was living with for a good chunk of her life at that time. And it was also during that moment where after she was running to try to find a new life for herself, she'd be constantly getting objectified by men who saw her. She'd be constantly harassed by them, and it gave her the notion that men are just sick, twisted, and gross sex pigs. And if you're a man who is considered of good nature, something is going to come along and make sure you don't live long enough to be the exception. And thus, it starts Riona on her long-winded journey and her long-winded character arc of how she is not able to trust men. And that she has a very strong hatred for them. Which, for the record, will in fact include our main character Kamiko, because when these two first meet, Riona's already on the defensive when it involves him. Like, she's very rude to him. She doesn't try to give him the time of day or any kind of respect. In fact, there was an audio log that I actually had recorded for Riona, where Kamiko's like trying to ask her questions, like, some of them just rather basic ones. Like, he tried to start off with something like some personal stuff, but then like he tried to reel it back a bit to be like a bit more on the casual side of conversation, but she's still not answering like any of his questions. It's only until Twilight starts asking Riona questions is when she starts answering her like respectfully. And it's something that does in fact irritate Kamiko quite a bit, because she's deliberately ignoring him while being perfectly respectful to another person who is literally asking the same questions as him. Now, for headcanon voices for Riona, there are a few that I do have. So the first one, and this is actually one where it's like, if this is something that could have been guaranteed 100%, it would be Riona being voiced by Colin Clinkenbeard. Specifically, her performance as Urza Scarlet from Fairy Tail. Like, effectively, like, I feel like she would basically be Urza, except, you know, Riona doesn't have as many moments as Urza where she is a bit on the silly side. Because we all know Urza from Fairy Tail. She's strong, she's badass, she's amazing. But she's also a fucking dork. There are times where we see Urza, like, aside from just being the hardcore wizard that she is, just times where we just have to look at her, it's like, God damn it, Urza, you dork. Like how she is completely illiterate. Which is really funny when you consider that it was Urza who taught Natsu how to read and write, and yet not only is her handwriting absolute garbage, but she also can't read. So it's like, how did you teach Natsu? For other headcanon voices that I have for her, like if Colin Clinkenbeard is not a possibility. There's also Erica Lindbeck. Because Erica Lindbeck's a really great voice actress. You've heard her in a lot of different things. And, you know, if I need someone who is able to do, like, a rather deep, serious warrior type voice for a female, Erica Lindbeck has been able to do that very well. Yeah, that woman does have range. And then as for the last one, I actually need to refresh myself on this one, because I think it's Stephanie Young. Yeah, it's Stephanie Young. So, more specifically, her voice for Nana Shimura from My Hero Academia. Because, you know, again, deep warrior type voice. Perfect for Riona. Basically, the only thing that I'm looking for with Riona is just, you know, deep warrior type voice. Because she certainly lived through it. She's certainly tough. She's certainly badass. In fact, her primary means of fighting is that she is a sword fighter, and she uses a katana that, thanks to Jordan, who popped in here earlier, I have officially decided to name it as Raiko. So it is a blade made of dragon crystal that is capable of absorbing magical properties. So things that Riona can actually do when using magic. So, like, her primary use of magic is that she can utilize ice, electricity, and wind, which is an extremely deadly combination when the attributes that they can be added to both her blade as well as her movement ends up making her as one of the most vicious of sword fighters. Because something that she can do with her sword is that if she decides, oh, I'm gonna have ice magic run through the blade, she can actually coat the blade in ice and say maybe she can make the blade a bit thicker. She can make it longer. She can make it wider in order to deal, in order to try to deal more damage to something. She can put electricity through it in order to make the blade sharper. And then she can put wind through it in order to make holding the sword lighter. Because, fun fact, swords are not light. There are some that do weigh quite a bit. In fact, where's the sword that she has? Yeah, there it is. That's what her sword looks like. It is a katana with a dragon symbol on it. And yeah, that thing was made from a dragon crystal that was so dense that it had to be forged with a lightning bolt. Which is supposed to be the explanation needed to talk about how her sword is practically indestructible. But her sword is not the only thing that she'll be able to do that with. In fact, like I mentioned, this pose here that I'm doing here, at least just show her head angle, this here is actually going to be showcasing that Riona is able to use magic on different parts of her body to do other different things. For this instance, she's turning her own ponytail into an ice blade. So she could just swing her head around, have her ponytail coated in ice to form it into a blade, and she could cut people with that if, say, she was to ever be disarmed of her weapon. I think I'm actually... Oh yeah, I actually am almost done with this. Sweet. This is why we love progress here, folks. But aside from being able to do that with her hair, she can also do that with her fingers. In fact, we actually showcased Hiyashi being able to do something relatively similar during the last stream, and that is because Hiyashi is the one who trained Riona how to use ice magic. He only taught her how to do ice magic. For wind and electricity, she actually went out on her own to pick those up. In fact, once she ended up picking up electricity, that ended up becoming like her most prominent like magic style that she would end up using. And the thing about electricity, which especially makes Riona rather deadly, is that when you have electricity magic equipped, you suddenly have super speed. Like you can run up to you can actually run as fast as lightning. Since, you know, electricity, like you can reach those speeds and even faster with it. So Riona not only can be super efficient when it comes to speed, but also more devastating with how she is able to cut things down faster than most people could blink. Alright, there we go. Wanted to have like part of the other thing in her bangs actually showing up on the other side. The other thing I'll also mention too when it comes to Riona, I'd say out of all of the characters that I have made, Riona, I'd say, is probably one of my more visual storytelling type of characters. Like, because a lot of things about Riona are typically told through in the likes of, say, visuals. Like, for instance, you may notice about... if I can go up here. You may notice that Riona has a bit of brown showing up in her hair. That is because she dyed her hair blue. Her hair is not naturally blue. But she also keeps at least a streak in her hair of her natural hair color. And that is supposed to be representative of the one man that she has been able to put her whole trust into, and that is her teacher, Hiyashi. So that's the reason that it is there, because that is the only man that she knows that is worth seeing her true self. And that's the reason why it is there. But there's also just a fact, too, and I haven't exactly, I've been trying my hardest not to show it, just because I said that I didn't want to have to try to put up a trigger warning for people to have to see it if we can potentially avoid having to look at it for the rest of this. But, Riona carries a lot of scars on her, like, a ton of scars. And she keeps those... And she does keep those relatively hidden. In fact, the red bandages, the shoulder pads, the armor, even the scarf that she wears. Those are all to hide the multitude of scars that she has covering her body. And part of that, and the reason why she has something of the sort, is because one of the things that she ended up clinging onto as a child when she was still living with her shitty dad was that, you know, hey, you're not to tell anyone the things that I did to you. And in order to really sell that notion, he would end up covering those spots so people could not see them. And because of the trauma response that Riona has to these things, instinctively, she just does it herself. So it's still one of those things that, you know, even though she technically doesn't even need to do it anymore, yeah, it's the trauma response in her that makes her do it anyway. Like, Riona is definitely a character that, in terms of writing, I definitely take the most risks with, just because of the things I intend to do with, you know, writing her as a character. Because, like, I know she's not going to be super likable to begin with. I know that I'm fully anticipating that when she's first introduced, some people are probably just going to be like, yo, fuck this hoe. Like, she can't, like, fuck this hoe. She's kind of a bitch. But at the same time, the thing that I need to showcase as well is that, yeah, she is in fact a victim of trauma. That is something that she does need to get through. But importantly enough, the thing that she does need to be able to get through, be able to move past, is a big part of her character arc. Like, I make it the equivalent to, say, Sokka, when his initial character arc in Avatar: The Last Airbender was that, you know, oh, he was sexist. He was always, you know, he viewed women as inferior to men. And that was a character arc that he ended up having to go through and realize, you know what? I was an idiot for thinking this. But the problem is, you're only able to make those characters go on those type of arcs only when you can give them the character flaw that allows them to live through those things, that allow them to actively partake in them. And I feel like Riona being a bit on edge, you know, being a bit on that side of things, I feel is like the best way to be able for her to go through that kind of character arc. Because if she were just an incredibly perfect individual who is just always right about everything, never in the wrong about stuff, and just overall her entire viewpoint is just, oh yeah, this is just 100% correct, and she's just proven right at every single corner, it wouldn't do anything to help her go on that character arc. Like, she has to have a flaw. She has to have an issue. Like, she has to have somewhere to start, so so we have somewhere for her to travel to. Like, it's definitely a risky type of character to be writing for, but it's one that I'm gonna want to take. It's one that I feel like, you know what? Sometimes you gotta take those risks in order to tell a very interesting story. It's part of the reason why we enjoy things like DreamWorks, because they lived on that motto. Alright, and since... just want to make sure I have the right... Yeah, there we go. It's that layer. So... Since she is going to be using ice magic here, her eyes do have to be light blue. And that is because when humans use elemental magic, their eye color changes to the corresponding element in which they are using. So since Riona is using ice here, her eyes are going to be light blue. Let me actually get the streak in here. There are a couple of spots that I am missing though. Yeah, let me get this, because I at least have the natural hair color thing down, so I can get some of these white spots that I missed. But yeah, the roots of her hair, they're still brown. Also as a way to show that even though Riona has been desperately trying to move on with herself, there's still parts of her that she's not able to leave completely behind. In particular, the way that she grew up, she's not able to keep that behind her. And I mean, she grew up with this hair. She grew up as a brunette. visual storytelling is very fun, guys. This is a way for you to be able to tell a story while also not having to tell a story at the same time. Sometimes it can make for the showcase people being really smart as writers if they're able to do things like that. So, I am also, unfortunately, starting to think that I may not actually be able to finish this entire page by the end of the stream, just because of how much is already kind of taking up with needing to do this, and I haven't even gotten to the ice effect yet for the hair. So, chances are I might just stop it here because there's more that I wanted to do with Riona having her hair down. Then again, I might not have to. I could make it a bit easier on myself and just... Because typically speaking, you don't want to shade reference sheets. And the reason you don't want to do that is because when people go to draw your character, or when people try to create your character for, like, say, maybe fan art, maybe they want to make, like, a model for your character, if they see the shading on there, sometimes they may mistaken it as part of the character's design. So they'll end up incorporating like those different types of shading as like, no, oh, maybe this is just like a multicolored thing, and they just attach it to the character rather than just like, oh, that was supposed to be shading. That's how the light's supposed to be interacting with them. Now, there are some cases where I have the shading just because I want to showcase, what it looks like when the light interacts with those characters, but I don't do that for all of the poses because, again, you don't want people to accidentally think the shading is a part of their character design. Because that certainly happened in some cases where they're like, oh, I didn't know that was shading. I thought that was part of the design itself. Oh, we got one more going here. Stretchies. Something I will also say, actually, let me get a drink of water first. There we go. So, I will say, there technically is one other type of dragon that Riona... There is one other type of man that Riona does trust, and that is Chrome. But it's also because Chrome is a dragon. Yeah, I mean... Of course the dragon's not going to think of anything depraved when it comes to a human, because why would they? They're a Durgan. Alright. I think at the very least, I do want to try to get the ice effect on Riona's ponytail. And that's probably where I'll end up calling it. Because I do at the very least, I want to at very least showcase this off, because it's such a great idea. It's like, oh, you have no sword anymore. What are you gonna do now that you're completely disarmed and totally useless? Turns entire ponytail into an ice blade. Fuck. Riona is the definition of, oh no, you removed one of my options. Anyway, I still have 7 more. You may have batted away my sword, but I'm not out of options. Just turns entire ponytail into an ice blade. And then when we get to the second page of things, I'll be showcasing some of the other things that she's able to do with ice. Like, maybe a little wisen up and be like, ha, got your ponytail. Now you can't do anything to turn that into a blade, now can you? Turns fingers into blades. Is there any way to disarm you? I swear. This is crazy. Up, and we got ourselves an ad break. I shall see you guys in 1 minute and 30. I guess if there's something I can say while this is going, like, at least to the people who are watching the VODs on YouTube, just so you guys aren't listening to complete silence. Honestly, I'm actually I'll say, if I can pat myself on the back for just a little bit, I'm actually really impressed that I've been able to keep at this for this long. That I was able to just have enough steam to be able to go 12 days. 12 days! 12 days of discussing nothing but lore and doing artwork of my own stuff and talking about some of my characters. And yeah, like, there are just some instances where, honestly, I feel like if I were to ever maybe do something like this again, maybe perhaps this kind of, like, lightning round ideas, probably what I should be going with a bit more. Just because I find myself being able to talk about my characters far more often because of this. Because especially when it comes to, like, more longer streams that are dedicated to a single character, I know I do sometimes tend to just go on the quiet side after some time. Because it's like, you know, yeah, there's just so much I've talked about when it's come to these characters that, you know, once I get done with talking about everything major, there's really not much left for me to be able to discuss that isn't just repeating stuff. And I'm more than willing to do so for, like, people who literally just joined. Because, you know, of course, you just joined. You probably didn't hear any of the things I was talking about when it came to the other characters that I was working on. By the way, welcome back to the ad break, everybody. I'm just doing a bit of a... You know what? I'm working on ice here, so how appropriate. I'm doing some reflecting. Ha ha ha. Not sorry. On just the lore-a-thon so far, because we are at day 12. We're day 12 of this, and then let's see. So after this, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more. Like we're more than halfway done. Like we're past the halfway point with the lore-a-thon, because I'm not counting the days where I have off, because obviously I'm not gonna be streaming on those times. Because either just from some of the days I'm going to be calling off, or just in a bit later within the month, I'm actually going to be out of town visiting my sister and my niece to celebrate my birthday. In fact, it's actually a main reason why I even have the lore-a-thon going here, because it is to celebrate the month of my birthday. Good job. For those of you who are wondering what day that is specifically, that is the 30th. I'm pretty sure I have that on that. I think I have that on here. Yeah, I do. I do have that on here. So yeah, the 30th do in fact be my birthday. Cue the mariachi who just come in here going, did someone say birthday? But yeah, like, I feel like if I were to ever do something like this again, I may need to have, like, a bit more prep time to figure out, like, how exactly I want to go about doing this. Just because it's like I mentioned before, I guess during the ad break when some of you guys weren't here to listen to any of that, I definitely feel like the biggest issue that I have with this lore-a-thon format is, yeah, after some time, I do just kind of run out of things to say about that doesn't just come off as just me repeating things that people already in the audience who were there for it kind of already knew about. And I don't want to be, like, I don't want to try to be too repetitive for those kind of people. Because I can only imagine, like, hearing, like, the same exact points over and over again I've made before would be relatively annoying to you guys. It's like, you literally just talked about this. Like, who are you talking about this to? Because the thing is, under typical presentation, I wouldn't mind actually doing that. But I also want to be considerate to some of you people who have already been here, who have, like, been watching these things consistently, that have been staying here consistently, that I want to be able to also respect that time of yours as well. And I just felt like, you know, repeating stuff that I've already talked about maybe a bit on the insulting end in some cases. I don't know, maybe it's just me overthinking it, maybe it's just me being too considerate for you guys. Whereas compared to these, because since I'm talking about a multitude of different characters at once, I'm able to, like, keep different talking points going on and on and on. Like, I'm able to keep the same amount of, like, consistent speaking that I want to be able to have. So I definitely do feel like it's something that if I am to do something like this again, that is something that I am probably going to want to maybe consider. Like, perhaps maybe if I eventually get, like, a bigger audience that probably were not here for when the lore-a-thon stuff were going around, and I could just, you know, I could just do this again. Only, I guess, maybe if we get more reference sheets done, rather than just actual reference sheets, we can just do full-on character images for them. Because I wouldn't mind doing that, too. But, yeah, there's Riona with her ponytail coated in ice. And, yeah, as much as I would love to be able to apply shading to this, you know, I'd probably apply shading especially to this one. I think I can go fine with this one not having it. This one, absolutely. I want to bring out the menace in her face. 100% I want to bring out the menace interface. I'll at the very least, you know, do the lipstick. That should be fine. Because Riona do in fact have the lips. Yeah, and then I can just airbrush. Actually, no. I think I'll do it outwards just to give it a bit of that softness. All right, there we go. But yeah, with the amount of time that I do have left, this is probably all that I'm gonna be able to end up doing. So. Honestly, I feel like I'll probably just finish Riona's, like, off stream at another time, and then just end up posting and just being like, here we go, here's Riona's thing. We got page 1 done. And then I'll start sometime down the road setting up maybe for page 2 of it. Let's see, probably around Sunday, maybe? I'd also probably, in that case, you know, maybe take Riona off of the lightning round so, like, I can, like, better prepare for that reference sheet and then get that going around, because we'll eventually have another reference sheet touch-up day where we just, you know, again, actually, right after that, it'll be another reference sheet touch-up day, so you guys will end up having 2 lightning rounds going on. But with that, that's going to conclude for this stream. We got ourselves a lot of work done on this. So, tomorrow, again, keep your eye out for this one, because the chances are I will actually end up changing, things how I want to, about what I want to do, because actually, if I can pull up the schedule again. Yeah, so, tomorrow, if I do have it ready for that day, I'll be going over the main antagonist of the first arc for the Rise to Superior, that being Mao. I'll be working on his reference sheet. Again, probably a relatively simple one that we might end up getting finished by the end of the stream, because there's not too much I want to be able to reveal about his character just yet. I have a lot, because typically when it comes to my other reference sheets, I have a lot that I tend to try to show off with those kind of characters, like different facial expressions, some of the abilities that they have. Like, there's a reason, like, there's some where I say that their reference sheets are 2 pages long, because aside from just showing them off at different angles and, like, different facial expressions, I also like to showcase some of the abilities that they have. Mao, I may not have to do that for, because there are some things about him that I don't want to reveal too much about him. I don't even want to reveal his face. You will see what I mean by that when it happens. But if I do not have it ready by that day, what I will do instead is I will swap what I have ready for the 17th, being landscape art, and I will put it to Tuesday. And then Wednesday will be reserved for Mao, because I should have his stuff ready by then, if I don't have it ready by Tuesday. So, just keep your eye out for that. Either way, we are having a stream tomorrow. We are going to be continuing with day 13 of the lore-a-thon, where it will either be Mao reference sheet, but if that's not finished, then we will be heading with landscape art. But for now, let's see. I think I already have a raid target in mind. Oh yeah, I definitely have a raid target in mind. You know what we're gonna raid into? We're gonna raid into Scarlet Otaku, who is doing some Chrono Trigger. And the raid message, of course, shall be the lore. So, as our usual stream rules go when we raid into people, don't over-promote the streams, respect the streamers' rules, be sure to follow their content if you like what they do. When we raid into them, make sure you remove the referred equals raid from the URL address before refreshing so your view actually counts. As for this VOD, I will be downloading it as soon as we finish, so I can get it ready for uploading as soon as I come back from work, because that way, that video will end up being up on the channel for people who end up missing this stream to be able to watch and keep up on some things that they may have missed. But until now, I'm going to hand you off to Scarlet Otaku. This has been Raul Moores. This has been day 12 of the lore-a-thon. We've been doing another lightning round where we got quite a number of things done on here. And yeah, I shall see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Also, 169 followers.